Welcome to the Air Power Airwaves, the Air Power Manufacturing Solutions podcast series where we talk about manufacturing issues that impact you. Hey, it's Travis Steerwalt with Air Power Airwaves coming to you from High Point, North Carolina with our very special guest today. It's been over a year, probably about a year.
Yeah, about a year.
Since we had you in the studio again. But we have the number one man, the president of Air Power, Mr. Dan Senff. How are you doing, Dan?
I'm doing great, Travis.
Good.
Thanks
Always
for having
good
me.
to have you in here.
It's great to be here.
I know we see each other in the hallways from time to time.
Yeah.
You're a busy man.
Yeah, well, that's good, right? I think that's a good thing.
It's very good.
Yeah, I think that's a good thing. I appreciate the opportunity to come back here and talk to you. It's always fun, and hopefully it's informative also.
It will be. It will be. I've got multiple things to talk about.
Okay,
today.
good. All right, good.
So, but I wanted to start this out. First of all, if you need to ask him anything or you want to talk about anything on this podcast, call us at 1-800-334-1001 or go to airpower-usa.com and you can find out ways to contact Air Power. And there's various forms, there's various emails, there's various all kinds of things you can use to get in touch with us. But again, this is Air Power Airwaves, and we do podcasts all year long. We do training videos all year long. The most important person in the room is the one behind that camera over there that makes it all look so easy. And thank you, Jai. So, all right. First of all, I'm going to start out something totally different.
Okay.
All right. You and I normally have like one or two sessions before we do a podcast where we actually can have a conversation and talk.
That's right.
And last week was a nightmare.
Yes, it was. Yeah, last week was not good for catching up.
No, we would set up for a meeting, and it would be like, I'm really sorry, I can't do this right now. And then again and again and again, I was like, Dan, don't worry about it. We'll talk before the podcast on Monday, or Tuesday when we film this. So this will not be a difficult day. So I got to thinking on my way over yesterday. What's a question I could ask you that would throw us off in kind of like a tangent that you're not even expecting?
Okay.
And you might share a story, I might share a story. And so you, in your progression of your career, you did spend time knocking doors in sales, right?
Yes.
So that involves hotel rooms, restaurants, you're on the road, interacting with all kinds of people, you know. So we all want to hear one story from the road. Because I'm telling you right now, I could do a whole series along with the account managers with Air Power, especially the ones that have been here a long time. We could probably do an entire series of these. But what's one crazy thing that's happened on the road?
Yeah, I don't want to get into some of the details of some of the crazy things that happened. But I'll tell you from a sales standpoint and just being in outside sales, right? I'll let you share the crazy stories. I'll give you a little more tame one. It really was just about experience and the importance of understanding, when you go in to talk to a customer, just being prepared to go do that, right? With the technology that you have, whatever that might be. Obviously, we sell as part of, Assemble Move Coat. We sell, DC tools, right, for fastening. And I remember when I first got out into sales, my boss at the time said, hey, just get out there and kind of get your teeth kicked in a little bit. I said, okay, no problem. Didn't have a lot of training. Had some pretty technical product and walked into a customer who wanted to do a demo with this equipment. And I had really not spent a lot of time with that equipment preparing and fell flat on my face fairly quickly. And so it was a good learning experience for me. This is not a crazy story, but it was just a good learning experience for me. From that situation, I took that equipment back to my garage, right, and spent the next couple of days going through that until I had it down, bulletproof, because I just told myself I'm never going to stand in front of a customer, right, who I'm trying to add value to and look like a fool. And so it's been, I would say, a lifelong lesson for me. And I think, for our sales teams also, like, make sure that you understand when you go in to talk to a customer, don't assume I think the factories that we work with and the partners that we have do a great job with the product. But there's always scenarios where maybe that equipment wasn't fully tested like you think it should have been. So it's a good idea to make sure that you vet that out before you walk in and put it in front of a customer. So that's not like a crazy story of what happened on the road, but I'll say
that's a real life
another
learning
time.
lesson.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of us could apply that.
Yeah.
Anybody listening to this could apply that. Yeah, I have a lot of crazy ones.
Yeah. Well, you can share us an example of a crazy story from the road. You spent a lot more years on the road probably than what I did.
In my early days, I was actually asked to go collect money from a powder coating shop. And when I got there, I realized that it wasn't just a powder coating shop. This was a location of one of the most infamous motorcycle clubs in the U.S.
Okay.
Actually in the world.
Okay.
But I was asked to go collect money from them.
Okay.
That wasn't fun.
I bet.
I was sweating. My hairs were all standing up. I got the money.
Sure.
But yeah, that was a little. You have to be very careful in those situations.
Yeah, I've heard a story similar to that, and this was kind of when I actually first started with Air Power. So we have an account manager here who now is in a different role. He may or may not be our sales leader, and he told me a story of one time where we sold some equipment to a customer, and then he had to go pick up the payment, and the customer left the payment under a rock out by his fence. Right, so there's certainly some unique ways of collecting payment.
Yep, I'll never forget the knock on the door. The door was locked. It's like middle of nowhere type situation, right? They're not out with a neon sign out front saying who we are.
Sure.
And I saw that little thing swing, so they could see through, and I think it was like 5 or 6 bolt locks down it. And when I went inside, they locked them all back behind me.
That's a great
so
feeling.
I'm like freaking out.
That's a great feeling.
Just a little bit.
Yeah.
And there I am with my nice, nice shirt and khakis. And
Sure.
I'm in the wrong place.
Right.
But yeah, talked to them for a little while, and they were like, "Yeah, no big deal."
Made it out safely.
Made it out safely, and I actually called the corporate office and said I felt so unsafe, and that I want this taken off of our account list.
Sure.
This is not something I want to send an account manager into ever again.
Yeah.
If they want to order something, fine, but we're not doing any visits, and it's cash or credit card,
right.
or credit card up front,
sure.
To order.
Sure.
But yeah, I got all kinds of stuff, man. I'll tell you one more. I remember the first night, the first job that I had in the industry. Was working for a commodities manufacturer.
Okay.
That serviced the plating industry. So my territory back then, it was actually work on the internet, but we were bringing the internet to a whole industry.
Sure.
Back when people are like, "What's a website?"
Right.
Email. What's an email? An email address? Like I would have my own. Like you're educating the entire industry.
Sure.
So I started out in that world, and the heavy traffic territory was like Wisconsin, Milwaukee, Chicago, Detroit, moving all the way across Cleveland and then up through like Newark and then into Connecticut. Like that whole area is like a plating belt. Okay. So here I am. I'm fresh out of college. I've had a job for a couple of years coming out of college. So I'm like 26-ish. I've never had to deal with hotel rooms other than just for a vacation.
Sure.
Okay. So I'm flying into Newark. And I'm just not even, I've been in that area a few times in my life prior, but never on business.
Right.
It's always like there's somewhere I'm going specifically, and I've got a room already taken care of wherever I'm going. Now I got to do it on my own.
Sure.
Well, the president of the company that I worked for, stalwart, man, been in the industry for years, brilliant guy. And he, I had a company credit card and roll of quarters in case I needed to make a phone call. This was even, I had a beeper.
Sure.
That was it. That's the technology level right here.
Cell phones.
There was no like, let's go, use the IHG app and try to find a hotel room. So I fly in and I'm like, I'm going to find a room, no big deal. And I know I need to be in this certain area. And I would go to, this hotel, this hotel, this hotel, sold out, sold out, sold out, sold out, sold out. And I don't know if you've ever been up there. It's the 9, the I-9, whatever. I think that's what it is. The 1 and the 9 or the 5 and the 9 that are just running up and down Newark, Elizabeth, New Jersey, that corridor.
Sure.
I find a Howard Johnson's, and they're like, yeah, we got a room. So I paid for the room. I get to the room. The space on the bottom of the door is like this. Like a hand could get in and unlock your door. And then there's pry bar marks where they have physically had to break into the room for some reason. And I'm like, nope. So I go back down. I get reversed, my charge, and I leave. I end up at like a Motel 6 or something. Everything else is sold out.
Sure.
Anything of stature is either like $400 a night or sold out.
Yeah.
And my boss would have lost his mind if I had taken $400 a night. So it's one of these hotels that's like set up like a castle. It's like this big giant square with a 1-car entry, exit, and the parking lots on the inside. Protect everyone.
Sure.
They doesn't protect anybody from anything. I had a first floor room where the glass, you're entering from the outside, right where I parked my car, and the parking lot's full. I walk into the room, and this studio from this table to here and here is bigger than the room that I was in. First thing I did was slid the thing that the TV was on, the dresser.
The dresser, yeah.
In front of the door. First, now you know how, like, me, a little worried about it, right? So I'm kind of tripping. And you couldn't close the window good enough because there were like 2 layers of something there, but all the light just kept coming through. The whole room was, with the lights out, was just bright.
Sure.
All night long. All night. I got up the next morning like 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the morning. I was like, I'm gone. Yeah. I'll go sleep at Waffle House.
Yeah.
Something. Yeah, that's some crazy stuff. Yeah, fun. All right, now we'll get into AP business. Let's talk about growth and expansion.
Okay.
We've had a lot going on. So if we go back, we expanded in Florida years ago.
2019.
And then 2020 we moved into Zenmar.
That's right.
Territory in Baltimore. And those have been great additions to Air Power for sure.
Yep.
And then recently we've made some major pushes.
Yeah, so 2021, we actually stepped into, we were in Florida, obviously, with the Lee Patterson acquisition in 2019. And then, like in 2021, there was actually a tool part of the business that was part of Air Centers of Florida, really a compressor house. They had been serving that market down there as a tool distributor. So we acquired that part of the tool business in 2021. So that was kind of the latest, really up until the move to Texas.
Right.
And so that was really in the making, all of 2024. We were working through that process. And then in January of 2025, we kind of went full force in Texas.
Yep.
And so, the way that happened, just to kind of give a little bit of the details of that, Ingersoll Rand, had served that market from a direct standpoint. They had a direct sales force. And so, we had some conversations with them about serving that market and what it would look like for us to be able to step in there and serve that market in those territories. And so through that process, we made an agreement with them to really, I'll say, acquire, take over that, direct business, that customer base. It's really, Texas, Louisiana, Oklahoma, some business certainly in Arkansas.
Right.
And so, we started that in earnest in January. Hired a sales leader, hired customer service. Those folks actually were able to come to our sales meeting in January of last year. That was to meet them.
Nan and Jay, right?
Yeah, Nan was there. Jay was outside sales. Carly was customer service.
Yep.
Marisol also joined the team at that time and joined our project management team. as a project coordinator. So, that was January of last year, and then our plan for 2025 was certainly to expand and continue to commit resources out there. So, we've hired since then, and really just over the last couple of months, we hired Vicky, we hired Colin. We hired Connor, right? All outside sales. So now we went from, really one outside salesperson, and the size of Texas. So Jay trying to cover all of Texas is a tough ask.
Yeah, and I just met the whole team.
Yeah.
So was down there. We've had so many new hires in the 3 different regions, like Florida.
Hey, you were just out there a couple weeks ago.
A couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
And then the last 4 weeks has been a blitz.
Yeah.
Because I did the training in Tampa.
Yep.
And that was a fun one. So we went to the hotel. The hotel that I was staying at, I had gotten an agreement from them that we could use one of the little conference rooms, the small ones.
Yeah.
And got down there in the morning, and it was double booked.
Oh.
So there was another group paying it. I was like, that's fine. And I think we ended up in Panera.
Okay.
And it worked great.
Yeah.
I was like, can we use it back here? They're like, yeah, as long as you're buying something.
Sure.
So I was like, guys, whatever you want,
Yeah.
line up. We're paying our rent.
You got to be flexible, right?
So,
you got to be flexible.
It went really good. And then the next week was in PA, in New Freedom.
Yep.
That's another thing we need to talk about.
Talk about that
we moved
too.
from Baltimore up to New Freedom. And great location, great team. That was fantastic. And then I had a week off, a week hiatus, and then went to Dallas.
Yep.
And trained the whole team there. So everybody's got their filter kits and their samples, and ChemWove and RTT were both super helpful with that. So
we've had, I think, you certainly, and we've also had several of our vendor partners, who have made it out there, right, to do some
IR was there the day after I went in, and I hadn't met Brian Ollier in person yet. So I went the next morning before I headed to the airport. I just stopped back in and waited while everybody was coming in, while Brian was setting up. So it was good to meet him. We've got a podcast coming up
with him.
Yeah, early September, and me and Kyle will be working with Brian in here and interviewing him. So, looking forward to that.
Yeah, so it was good. I mean, our plan, right, certainly was to establish a branch, right? So we did that. We signed that lease. That was effective July 1st, right? And so then, a lot of efforts from, Kevin and Nick and several of the guys from the install team and the team out there in Texas, to sort of get that place up and running. The place, you've been out there. So
it's beautiful.
It looks amazing. We went through a pretty good process. One, trying to find some place that made sense also for our employees, right? And so we did that, kind of got up and running in July. Then have hired a couple more people, right? Colin and Connor. And then just recently, a new service technician, Eric.
Yep, I met Eric.
Yep, so he was here last week for some training, and then he headed back out there.
I said, what's your name? And he goes, Eric Estrada. I was like,
how
many times have you gotten that? He goes, it's a C, not a K.
Sure, that's right. Yep. Yeah, so we're super excited. We're super excited about the team and the coverage, out there and the way that we've broken up the territories. It's a great team, and there's obviously a customer base that was there, but they're also getting engaged with a lot of different customers. So we're super excited about the growth there. And you mentioned, New Freedom, really Cockeysville. When we bought Zenmar, that facility, was the facility that we had, and it made sense for a lot of years, right? But as we have looked to kind of grow and expand, we had an opportunity to find a different location, so we kind of moved over the state line into Pennsylvania. New Freedom, that was earlier, I guess, gosh, I lose track of time. Earlier this year,
I believe so.
When we moved into New Freedom. So, we've got, you've been up there, so we've got the offices, kind of up to snuff. We sort of bought a shell of a building, right, that had the space that we needed for service and projects and and then the staff that we have there, kind of upgraded some of the facilities there. So that place is
less traffic.
Yeah. Oh well.
Way more parking.
Yeah. Just the
Oh.
parking. But yeah, and so we've hired, three new, guys up there.
Yep.
Riley Barber and John Sands and Zach Ross.
Yep, great
Those
team.
guys are up
Great
there.
team.
So yeah, we're really excited about that. We have also, I say expanded, but we've added some additional resources in South Carolina, and so we've got some new folks, down in South Carolina as well. And so, yeah, I mean, we continue to grow and evolve, and there's, we assemble, move, coat, automate, right? And so historically, when you look at our customer base, there are places where we've historically sold finishing, right? And maybe finishing only, not necessarily sealant adhesive, not necessarily tools and material handling. And so those are opportunities for us to, bring value to those customers and the other things that we offer. And, some of these acquisitions, right, have also brought, new opportunities and new partnerships, right, with vendor partners. And, as it has made sense, those have also allowed us to provide those solutions, to a different geography. So
you just mentioned the assemble, move, coat, automate. That was later on down where we were going to talk about that anyway, but I'm just going to bring it up right now. We've been for many years now. When we did our rebranding, we did all kinds of things.
Yeah.
Somehow we came up with assemble, move, coat, and it stuck really fast.
Yeah.
And just recently, and I don't know why it took so long, because when you think about it, we've been so involved in automation already.
Yeah.
That Air Power kind of doubled down and said, you know what, this is how important that is to us. It's no longer assemble, move, coat. It's assemble, move, coat, automate.
Yeah.
And to put the money where the mouth is, beefed up engineering, more engineering personnel.
Yep.
And I'm sure personnel in other areas, but I'll let you expand on that. That's a big deal for Air Power because of what we're moving into and what we're being requested to do.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, to your point, like automation has been part of our fabric sort of for a long time. Mm-hmm. But I think as the industry continues to push for more and more automation, and we see those opportunities, we break our business out in sort of run rate and projects. And there's been a pretty significant shift, right? Our run rate business continues to grow, but when we talk about run rate, it's box in, box out, right? Yep. You buy a pump, we sell you a pump, right? Whereas projects generally has labor included in it, might have install included in it, and some sort of automation. And so when I think about automation, we've talked about it and said, okay, is that a fourth pillar? Maybe it's a fourth pillar, but I sort of see it as the underpinning, okay? If you think about assemble, move, coat, automate, right? We're still talking, if you put stuff together, if you move stuff from point A to point B, if you do some sort of coding operation, right? And then if you want to automate any of those types of opportunities or applications, that's the automation piece. So, we've just recently, these were a couple of internal, I think we've talked about this before, but, we certainly believe and I think put our money where our mouth is as far as like promoting from within. Right, we've got a lot of really great people here, people that have been here for 20 plus years or 30 plus years, people that have come on board in the last 5 years. And so, we've, from an automation standpoint, we've really taken 2 of our guys that are part of our team and said, hey, these are automation engineers, right? This is what these guys are doing, right? They're looking for automation opportunities. So when those things come up, like that's the phone call that you make, right? So, Michael John has sort of been in that role. Right, Michael John has worn a lot of hats over the years, right? I'll call him the Air Power engineer, right? So we've got these 2 guys that are in that role, and then we've also, made an investment from an engineering standpoint. So we've got a new controls engineer. Actually, it just started yesterday. We have another controls engineer that is starting on Monday.
Is that who we just met this morning?
Probably
okay.
Josh, yeah. So we're super excited about him and the contributions that he's going to make. He's got a great background of being, in the field, doing a lot of setup, doing a lot of troubleshooting, doing a lot of training. So I think he's going to be a great addition for us. And again, when it comes to that, we don't make the stuff that you buy, we make the stuff that you buy better. I think his thought process fits in really well with our engineering team. So, we are continuing to see that. I talked about run rate and projects and just the growth rate. The projects and the automation piece of our business is growing at us, leaps and bounds.
Yes.
And certainly the run rate business continues to grow, but the rate at which automation is growing is significant. So, we're trying to put our money where our mouth is and make sure that we've got the right resources and the right seats to take care of our customers.
Absolutely. Well, let's move on. Because of that, we actually had a video shot this year. Was it this year or was it late last year?
Yeah.
Late last year, but it aired this year, correct?
That's right.
For the world's greatest manufacturing distributor and solutions provider.
Yes.
So how did we win this?
Yeah, so the way this came about was, if I'm honest, right, it was a little strange, right? So these folks reached out originally, I think, to me. I got the first reach out. And if I'm honest, I thought, I don't know what this is.
Kind of like when you graduate college and you get that invitation to be printed in that book. Like
exactly right. So I was skeptical. To be fair, I was skeptical. But I thought, well, maybe this is legit. And so, like I do, I was like, hey, Jai and Kyle, why don't you guys have a conversation with these folks and see if this is something that's legitimate and if this makes sense. And so, Kyle and Jai had a conversation with these folks, or a couple of conversations with these folks. And then that led to, sort of a description of how these folks go through this process, right? And how they evaluate how these companies are nominated. And then there's criteria that they go through to say, okay, who's in the top 5, or however that, boils down.
Because they're actually hunting for, they're actually, they start here.
That's right.
And then they start taking all of these different directions. And then they're like, wait a minute, this is a distributor, a manufacturing distributor and solutions provider that we find when we're looking at Google, Roku, when we're looking at, what YouTube, social media platforms, they keep coming up.
Right.
So there's something here. What do they do and what kind of category?
Yeah. Yeah, so to your point, like there's a footprint out there, right? They do their research, and so they went through the process. And Jai would probably correct me if I misstate this, but there were, I want to say hundreds, but there were several, right, that they were looking at, and then those several got boiled down to, let's say, 10, and then they had another interview or a couple more interviews, and so they interviewed me. I think they interviewed Kyle and Jai. I think Kevin was involved in part of the interview process, and they had specific questions. And so let's say they boiled it down to a top 5, and so we go through this interview process. And to be honest, like after that was over, I sort of was like, okay, well, that's great. And if we hear something back from them, great. And I'll never forget driving home from High Point the night, I think it was Emily, I may misstate that, but called. And I picked up the phone. She said, hey, this is Emily from the World's Greatest. I said, hey, how are you doing? She said, hey, I'm just calling to let you know that you all have been selected as the World's Greatest. And I was like, are you kidding me? Like, not that I don't think we're great. I do think we're great, right? But in a sea of a lot of people that do a lot of different things, it was a real honor for us to be selected. So that happened, and then they have a whole production crew, and so we went through this process and had interviews. Our employees, they came in, spent a day or a day and a half or 2 days, with production cameras and crews, and sort of went through, and we went through a script, and hey, here's what makes us unique. Here's what makes us special. We got to be in front of the camera, which is no problem for you, and really, it was awesome from my perspective. It was a great opportunity for us to brag about our business, right? Yep. Because I think our business is really special. The story. I think our people are really special. So it was a really cool opportunity to kind of do that. And then we actually had that video. I think we showed it at it aired, certainly on TV, Bloomberg TV and some other outlets. It's on our website. You can find it there.
Yeah, and, Jai gave me a list. You can find it on Roku, Amazon Fire TV, worldsgreatesttelevision.com, and obviously at the airpower-usa.com.
Yeah.
Find it there.
Yeah.
And could you probably search it up on YouTube?
Yeah, you can find it.
Be there as well. Yep. All right. So maybe we could put a link or something on this when it goes, the video version of this when it goes up. Let me clarify this real quick. If you like listening to podcasts, I know Dan does when he's traveling. I do as well. You can find this anywhere you can find podcasts. You'll just search up Air Power Manufacturing Solutions. You'll be able to find that. and it's called Air Power Airwaves. That's another way you can search for it. So, but oftentimes we have things that we're show and telling in here with vendors. The YouTube channel or our website, just look up the Air Power Airwaves Podcast, and you'll be able to see this entire podcast in its film version. So that's why sometimes I'm like, if you're listening, you need to go watch it. Okay. We had one topic left to talk about.
Okay.
And I know it's something that is important to you and it's important to our organization, and that's our Serve Day. We have an upcoming Serve Day, but we actually, since you and I were in here before, we've actually celebrated our first and committed ourselves and completed our first Serve Day. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. So, it's part of our mission, right? Is to build trust and lasting relationships. And so when we think about that, it certainly is with our employees, it certainly is with our customers, but it also is with our community. And so, we have an annual sales meeting every year, and we happen to be looking to have that sales meeting over in Western North Carolina this past January.
It had already been booked.
Correct. Yeah. So we had a plan to do that, and as we talked about what that sales meeting needed to look like and what we wanted to do while we were there, we started to sort of formally talk about this concept of, hey, how can we partner with the local community over there and be of service to the folks, right? Hurricane Helene came through, as I'm sure everybody knows. A lot of Western North Carolina was devastated, and it still is devastated. Yep. And so we reached out to a couple of different organizations, and we ended up partnering with Baptist on Mission to go over there. Now, it's no small task to coordinate, over 100 people, right? To show up, to be on time, and to be split up into multiple groups. But we did that. I think we had 3 or 4 different groups that we did, and so we all met, and we went out to different places right within Western North Carolina to help the community. Everything from rebuilding stuff to tearing out stuff to cleaning out under houses. We did a multitude of tasks, and the feedback, not only certainly from the folks who we were able to help, right, and to impact, yep, was, I think, so overwhelming. When we came back together, there was nothing but positive feedback from our employees who felt, one, certainly great about the ability to go out and sort of get outside yourself and serve others, but also just the teamwork and the camaraderie, which was a byproduct. Not to say that we weren't planning on that, but that feedback was pretty overwhelming. And so, honestly, not just one, but several of our account managers, had a conversation with me, while we were there after we had done that Serve Day, and said, hey, we really should do this. Like, this is something we should do. And so that the leadership team, kind of got together and said, hey, this is part of our DNA and it's part of our fabric, and we want to take time to go do this and serve our community. And it's not going to look necessarily like it did in Western North Carolina, because we're a pretty diverse group as far as locations go. We're in a lot of different places. And so we announced that to our organization. Hey, everybody in the organization, we're going to shut down the company, and we're going to do a day of service. We had to get a little creative on the days, right? Because we've got a critical mass certainly here in High Point, and then we have our branches sort of all over, the southeast and northeast and
Chattanooga branch
out west. And so, we wanted to also, we didn't want to dictate, right, to our teams how we wanted to go serve and who we wanted to go serve. And so we've, kind of selected leaders for each, group in different areas and assigned teams to say, hey, look, we want to get out and partner with the community. And that can be everything from, you could go to Western North Carolina, you could go serve in a food bank, you could go to a local shelter. There's a lot of different ways that you can do that. And so those are happening, in October. So we're super excited about it. Like I said, the feedback from the Serve Day that we did was overwhelmingly positive, and I've heard nothing but great feedback so far about the different things that we're doing. And it's, there are different things. There's a group I know that's going to go, to the Baptist Children's Home. They're going to help do some painting and some things like that. There's a group I think that's going to go serve with some battered women shelter there. I think there's a team that's going to go work in the food pantry. There's a group that is going to go back to Western North Carolina and serve over there to try to repair and recover, some things like that. So there's a pretty decent variety of things that we're going to go do. And, at the end of it, the importance of it is hey, like, we're just here to serve, right? Just have open hearts and be open to whatever we're needed to do. And that's what we're going to do. So
great. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that as well. I think ours like October 10. I think, in Chattanooga. Yep. So I'll be going down there to serve there. And Chattanooga just got pounded with flood.
Yes.
And I've been around Chattanooga. I went to college there, so this takes me back there to, 90 to 94 for college, and I've never seen anything like that. It was just some kind of a surge with all the rain we've gotten. I know you guys have had it up here too.
Yeah.
But just that surge, just crazy.
Yeah.
So, all right. You want to close out with anything? We've gotten through what we wanted to talk about today.
No, I mean, I always love, I could talk for a long time, and you know that, right? I love talking about our business. I love talking about our people, and just back to the Serve Day, just the hearts, I think, that our people have, for our community, obviously for our fellow workers, certainly for our customers. One of the really cool things that I will tell you is, we have had several account managers who have asked, hey, is it okay if our customer comes with us, right? The goal of this is not a sales pitch, right? But because of the relationships that we develop,
they're part of the same
community. We've had customers that have said, hey, we're in this community. We want to go help do that. Is that okay? And we said, yeah, 100%.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm really excited about that. I'm humbled by the response, of our employees, and I'm just excited about going to do that. Hopefully you'll have me back on again, and
absolutely,
maybe we can flash some pictures and things like that, and
I think
tell stories.
We talk really easy, and I think that we could do this more than once a year.
Yeah.
And have a good time doing it. I mean, I'm over here on a regular basis anyway, so it's nothing to add a topic and just go and spitball it straight through.
Yeah.
Get done.
I would love that. Anytime.
Cool. Awesome.
Anytime.
Dan, thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you,
Again,
Travis.
Closing out real quick, any questions, 800-334-1001. You can find everything at airpower-usa.com. Remember what I always say when I close out, manufacture it a great day.
Thank you for joining the Air Power Airwaves Podcast. Air Power Airwaves is a production of Air Power Inc. and Air Power Live Studios and is hosted by Travis Steyerwalt. For more information, please visit airpowerairwaves.com. For more information on all of our products, brands, and manufacturing solutions, please visit airpower-usa.com. If you have any questions or need product support, please contact Air Power at 1-800-334-1001.